1 Corinthians chapter 10. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea. And did all eat the same spiritual meat, and did all drink the same spiritual drink. For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. But with many of them God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these things are examples, to the intent we should not lust after evil things, as they also lusted. Neither be ye idolaters, as were some of them. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to play. Neither let us commit fornication, as some of them committed, and fell in one day 23,000. Neither let us tempt Christ, as some of them also tempted, and were destroyed of serpents. Neither murmur ye, as some of them also murmured, and were destroyed of the destroyer. Now all these things happened unto them for examples, and they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world are come. Wherefore, let him that thinketh he standeth take heed lest he fall. There hath no temptation taken you but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. Wherefore, my dearly beloved, flee from idolatry. I speak as to wise men. Judge ye what I say. The cup of blessing, which we bless, is it not the communion of the blood of Christ? The bread which we break, is it not the communion of the body of Christ? For we, being many, are one bread and one body. For we are all partakers of that one bread. Behold, Israel after the flesh are not they which eat of the sacrifices, partakers of the altar. What say I then? That the idol is anything, or that which is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything? But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils, not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the table of devils. Do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth. Whatsoever is sold in the shambles that eat, asking no question for conscience sake. For the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. If any of them that believe not bid you to a feast, and ye be disposed to go, whatsoever is set before you, eat, asking no question for conscience sake. But if any man say unto you, this is offered in sacrifice unto idols, eat not for his sake that showed it, and for conscience sake. For the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Conscience, I say, not thine own, but of the other. For why is my liberty judged of another man's conscience? For if I, by grace, be a partaker, why am I evil spoken of for that for which I give thanks? Whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God. Give none offense, neither to the Jews, nor to the Gentiles, nor to the church of God, even as I please all men in all things, not seeking mine own profit, but the profit of many, that they may be saved. 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head. For that is even all one, as if she were shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, forasmuch as he is the image and the glory of God. But the woman is the glory of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman. But all things of God, judge in yourselves. Is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered? Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her. For her hair is given her for a covering. But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God. Now in this that I declare unto you, I praise you not, that ye come together not for the better, but for the worse. For first of all, when ye come together in the church, I hear that there be divisions among you, and I partly believe it. For there must be also heresies among you, that they which are approved may be made manifest among you. When ye come together, therefore, into one place, this is not to eat the Lord's Supper. For in eating every one taketh before other his own supper. And one is hungry, and another is drunken. What? Have ye not houses to eat and to drink in? Or despise ye the church of God, and shame them that have not? What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I praise you not. For I have received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Jesus, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he brake it, and said, Take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he come. Wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup, that he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world. Wherefore, my brethren, when ye come together to eat, tarry one for another. And if any man hunger, let him eat at home, that ye come not together unto condemnation. And the rest will I set in order when I come. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, chapter 11, brief summary. So the first thing here is he clears up this stupid heresy by the Catholic Church about transubstantiation, substantiation. It's when they give you the wafer and they call it the Eucharist. Eucharist, Winston? What is it called? Yeah, Eucharist. Which you see it, and then you come to, let's say, different, like an actual church of actual believers. You see it differently, and it's in this keyword that Jesus says. This is not Paul saying it. Verse 24, chapter 11. Take, this is Jesus toward the middle. Take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. It's a remembrance. Then you go to the next verse where Jesus is talking. This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. Remembrance. But I like using the word stupid when I talk about Catholic doctrine, because it describes everything about the Catholic Church. The stupid thing that they do about, that they say that is the actual, that is Jesus himself in the wafer and the wine or whatever they're drinking. That is the actual body, that literally, the literal body, like you can touch your hand, like if you put a finger to your hand or something, you can grab your arm with your hand. That's what they think it is. That's what they claim it is. That's what they teach that is, and it's not. It's very clear here in the King James that it is not what he's talking about. But there's an explanation why we do it. It's remembrance of Jesus, and it is to remind the world and to remind ourselves that what he did for us. There was one verse here, I forgot to underline it. I think it's 29. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinking damnation. That's not it. Anyway, there was one here. I think it's 27. Wherefore, whosoever eat this bread and drink the cup. Oh man, I don't see it. It was right there. Anyway, it is a reminder to us that he was crushed for our transgressions. In the blood, it is as the atonement. So it is a remembrance only. It's not that the actual crucifixion or the actual sacrifice is being performed again. It's nowhere here. It's nowhere in the Bible. And again, most people are going to say, well, that's Paul. That's just a man's opinion. Let them say that. They're blind. So that's one thing. So here's another thing where people are really blind, because when you read it, it thinks that you can think in earthly terms. So it's chapter 10, verse 24. So I'm trying to make this as short as possible. 23 actually. All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. Let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth. So you can read that through the lens of the prosperity gospel preachers, and everyone you've probably ever heard of is a prosperity gospel. So you can be sure that if they went to a college or a Bible college or whatever, they are prosperity gospels or ecumenical preachers, because they're all controlled by the Jesuits. So they learn the perspective of ecumenism. And so when you read that, they will teach, I'm sure somebody has taught about how, to just make money for another person. How can I, and I hear it because I do, I listen to a lot of entrepreneur things, and this is like very prevalent, to ask how you can make people rich, and in the process you'll get rich yourself. That's what's being commonly taught in business. Like, all business people learn that principle. Like, the easiest way to get rich is to make others rich. That's a very common proverb between entrepreneurs. And so you read that and you're like, well, that's exactly what that's saying. Let no man seek his own, but every man another's wealth. Well, that's exactly what entrepreneurs talk about. Really? Okay. So let's go to verse 33, same chapter. 32. Give none offense, neither to the Jews, nor to the Gentiles, nor to the church, even as I please all men in all things, not seeking mine own profit, but the profit of many, that they may be saved. So what he's talking about, he's not talking about earthly wealth, but heavenly riches. He's not talking about making money on earth. He's talking about getting saved. And he's talking about getting people saved and being a fisher of man. That is God's business. God's business is to save souls and to catch fish, fishers of men. That's his business. And so he's training us to, in the same way as you go and you make wealth for people on earth is more profitable, better. It is the only thing that is worth pursuing, is to be fishers of men and to catch men, to go into the field, and the harvest is plentiful and the workers are few. That's what he's talking about. That they may be saved. So I wanted to clear that up, because more or less it applies to me, because I'm always talking to people like that. I talk to a lot of people who are business owners and do all that kind of thing. And so it's always bothersome when they think that's a higher calling, when they're going to go make people rich and in the process get themselves rich, and so it works out for them or something is the logic behind that. But that is just somebody else is going to get that wealth in the end. But when we preach and people get saved, that is true riches. True riches. Anyway, that will do it for today. We'll see you tomorrow for more reading of the Word.